Welcome back to the show. Check out these headlines. Evernorth reaches 95% of their XRP goals. Say it isn't so, or say it is so. And will anyone use XRP at all? Oh, the XRP FUD's at an all-time high. And are we looking at XRP price targets of $15 to $33? I don't know. Somebody roll that beautiful intro so we can find out.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I was fortunate enough to be invited to speak at a TedXTalk, and it's taken off like a rocket. If you'd like to see it, it's on the Internet of Value. Just go to YouTube or click the link I have underneath the video for it and watch it. It's only 6 minutes, but I'm really, really grateful to be invited to be a part of this thing. It was definitely a challenge for myself to do because you have to work off a very strict format and a script, which I'm not used to doing. So it definitely had me outside of my comfort zone. But I'd really love it if you guys could like and share it and go just check it out for yourself and hit the like button if you like it. It would mean a lot to me and the TEDx people that were kind enough to have me a part of it. The other thing I want to tell you about is Mr. BXRP on YouTube. Don't call it a comeback. He's been here for years. Yeah. He's putting out content again, and it's straight fire, baby. So make sure you give him a like and subscribe and start checking out his videos and send him a message and tell him I said to come on in. That's what you're doing. Yeah. Let's take a look at this. Right now, the price of crypto is going on out. Okay, it's not coming on in. It's 3.72 trillion and we're off 3.4 in the blink of an eye here. Bitcoin 107,800 plus, Ethereum down to 3,700. XRP at the number 5 spot again. We're 247. We're off 6.8 on the 24 and still up 2.7 on the 7-day. Now let's look at the range of price here. Going the wrong way. We're ranging between 247 and 266. We'll keep an eye on it. Look, I'm super bullish because we got all the things that we know need to happen, right? Congress needs to open back up. Government needs to open back up, excuse me. Right? We need the Clarity Act. We need the ETF approvals. We need the trade deal with US and China. We need the bank charter for Ripple, the Fed master account, and so on and so on, right? So all these things could unfold in the next month, inside the next month. So pay attention to the markets. It could really be something here. It could be a November to remember, ladies and gentlemen. And we could hear about that bank charter today. It was supposed to be today for the deadline. We'll see what happens. But right here is iTrustCapital. No deadline for this, but peace of mind is waiting for you. I can tell you that. And now you can put your trust account with the new PCA account. That's right. The new PCA account gives you the option to have an account outside of your IRA. And this allows a long-term investor to get the same peace of mind that you get when your assets are in an IRA with institutional grade custody. It's a remarkable opportunity. And I tell you, if you haven't tried it out, click the link below and just start because you're going to love it. So many hacks, so many scams going on out here. Give yourself the peace of mind you deserve. Put your assets, your long-term assets in this PCA, and it's a closed loop system, which you go in with your cash or crypto. You can trade 24/7. You can even take part in staking. But the reality is the only way to come out is to come out in cash, and it can only go to your US checking account. So God forbid if you said something wrong to someone, you clicked on the wrong thing, or you were SIM swapped or something of that nature, that's the worst that would happen to you. And that is peace of mind. Click the link below to get started. Now let's start right here. This is Wolf of Wall Street, Scott Melker. He says, I say this with no disrespect, looking for an actual answer. What's the current pitch for XRP, the token, not Ripple, the company? Western Union choose Solana for their stablecoin. Swift went with Lena on Ethereum, which was selling point I heard for years. Stablecoins have clearly taken the reins for payments, so I get their stablecoin being in play. But what utility does XRP have? Again, not trolling, asking. I think it's engagement farming on social media is what I think, because he understands whether he likes XRP or not. I think Scott clearly understands this is where the clicks and the views are that are not bots, like in the Bitcoin camp, because there's huge bots, and a lot of the people that are in his position are paid. He might be too, but I know a lot of them are. So that is a part of it. Now, Santiago Velez gave a really solid answer for Scott, and that was nice. And so did Matt Hamilton. Matt Hamilton said, let's clear this up here. He says the ability to transfer value peer to peer without having to rely on a centralized third party, i.e., the exact same utility Bitcoin has, but faster, cheaper, more decentralized. That's the real story. That's the short of it right there. Then he says, to response to Santiago Velez, who gave a solid answer about how the XRP works, the ledger works. He said, this is a really solid explanation of how XRP ledger was designed, and I genuinely appreciate how elegant it is on a technical level. The anti-spam fee, the rippling process, the native DEX, and the idea of XRP as a neutral non-IOU bridge asset where we're all far ahead of their time. It's obvious the ledger was engineered to solve real problems in global settlement long before most blockchain chains even existed. But the honest question, and I mean this sincerely, he says, is whether those design strengths actually translate into sustained token demand or value accrual. Spam prevention doesn't drive price. Pathfinding can use XRP, but often doesn't need to. And while neutrality matters in theory, the market increasingly prefers the simplicity and stability of fiat-backed stablecoins. None of this is criticism. I'm not anti-XRP, and I'm not dismissing the tech. I'm just trying to understand whether there's a real durable mechanism that connects the success of Ripple's payment infrastructure to the long-term value of the token itself. The bridge clearly works. I'm just not sure the toll booth ever collects. Sometimes, God bless you, Scott. Not taking a shot here, but Scott points to the obvious that most people in the space completely miss. The world needs a new money. And it's not just about tokenizing traditional finance, which is a big part that needs to happen, and the tokenization of currency of every nation, but is also about introducing a new money to the world that no one controls. XRP is designed to work within the system, not from outside the system. As more and more liquidity makes its way onto the XRP ledger, the smaller corridors will feel the benefits of XRP first because they are often illiquid markets. Over time, as liquidity begets liquidity, XRP's role in settlement will begin to increase more and more over time until the deepest, most liquid markets will eventually use it too, especially if we have a US dollar debasement. Scott, you remember hearing about the debasement trade with Bitcoin every damn day. Bitcoin can help offset the US debt if adopted in a strategic reserve, and there's only 21 million. XRP equals the market infrastructure for the US and the largest government economies around the world, helping to remove friction from an old, outdated, vulnerable payment system. And if it gets adopted into the digital asset stockpile, it can be price controlled just the way oil is globally today. In fact, I believe the U.S. should issue U.S. digital asset bonds for Bitcoin, XRP, XLM, ADA, and others to acquire the assets needed for this new financial system so they don't cost the U.S. taxpayer a nickel. In fact, this revenue share with U.S. citizens will, while acquiring some of the most important digital assets that will power the new monetary system, could be the greatest campaign for patriotism and restoring our nation to its rightful place. Number one, God bless the USA. One final point in question. You don't really think Ripple bought Hidden Road and Rail Financial and G Treasury and now backing the world's largest XRP institutional treasury, Evernorth, for institutions because they're not planning on using XRP, do you? Do you really? I mean, that's serious. That's a serious question. And no answer. No answer whatsoever. Looks like engagement farming from Scott. In response to that question from Scott, DAI says, fair enough. Didn't Scott Melker say he would come to XRP Las Vegas 26 Dig Perspectives? Got him booked yet? I invited him, and he said to me he could probably make it. He would be in the area at the same time. I'm talking about somebody with the balls to commit, Scott, and sit on our stage, Scott. I don't need any favors. What we're trying to do is untie tribalism in the space. You know, the same tribalist bullshit that Bitcoin conference did by blocking XRP Las Vegas from being at the Venetian. Where is the unity in that, Scott? Bitwise CEO Matt Hogan says a spot XRP ETF will easily become a $1 billion fund within the first few months. Well, let's move through it. I think Matt Hogan's dead on the money there. And MasterCard is in advanced talks to acquire crypto infrastructure startup Zero Hash in a deal valued at $1.5 to $2 billion per fortune. Well, if you go into this, Mr. Mann remembers and shares it with all of us. Ripple partners with Revolut and Zero Hash to expand real USD stablecoin access. And in a move that could accelerate the financial sector's shift towards digital infrastructure, BNY has partnered with Securitize to bring AAA-rated collateralized loan obligations on chain, starting with Ethereum's network. Remember, real USD is on there too. I remind everybody that BNY and Securitize are both working with Ripple. BNY Mellon, custody for real USD, and Securitize, they're working through money market fines and tokenization and access to liquid real USD on their platform for exits. Then we move to Evernorth, the world's largest XRP institutional treasury. Big news, everyone. Evernorth has signed a business combination agreement with Armada Acquisition Core 2, which is now trading on the NASDAQ under the ticker XRPN. That's what's going on. And they plan on going public in Q1 of 2026. And you'll love this fun fact. Evernorth Holdings now hold 388,710 and 710,606.03 XRP, reaching 95% of its target in just a few days. And Scott can't figure out what the demand for XRP is. Well, thank goodness Ashish Burler and everybody at Evernorth can, and Arrington Capital backing it too. Yeah, they can figure it out. Ashish Burler says, one step closer to uniting digital and traditional finance. Very proud of our team is building at Evernorth XRP. And you know what? That makes sense, doesn't it? It just makes sense. They're building the world's giant liquidity pool for the world's institutions to use. And I suggest we could even see it grow to the level of G20 nations. That's right, the largest economies of the world. And what happens when we find out that earmarked pre-allocated option contracts and the XRP escrow are largely spoken for? And then if they get released to those countries, governments, institutions, whoever they happen to be, and then they turn it over to Evernorth to put inside of the world's largest institutional XRP treasury. While at the same time, Evernorth is going to be purchasing XRP directly off the exchanges from the spot market like retail investors do. At some point, we're going to see a supply shock. I can't tell you when, but that math is set up for a supply shock. And then obviously you finally see applications emerging that up until now have just been about a store of value story or speculation. Brad Garlinghouse said it best yesterday at the Future of Investment Initiative.
16 years, because you'll finally see applications emerging that up until now have just been the store of value story or speculation.
The store of value story or just speculation? Think of it. The store of value story. Will that story pan out? Will that story have a happy ending? I think it does if it gets a Bitcoin strategic reserve. But if it doesn't, that story may change. Egg Rag Crypto, I'm going back to a chart I like and I still like it today. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I just like the chart, and it looks like a giant cup and handle is why I love this chart. And there's your handle. And I think we're still in this handle, even though we're a little lower right now, but that's fine with me. Cup and handle is a cup and handle. You want to make that handle a little deeper so we can pop a little harder. I'm into that too. Let's see what happens, right? Let's see what happens when the government's no longer shut down. Let's see what happens when we get the Market Infrastructure Bill, the Clarity Act passed, signed into law. Ripple gets the bank charter and the Fed master account. The ETFs are approved. Come on, let's see it all and let's see what happens. Is it going to be $15 to $33 or something more that we didn't even realize would happen? I don't know. But I love knowing that we're here for it together. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I like where we're going, and I like knowing that Ashish Burla and Evernorth thought it would be a great idea as a next chapter, and David Schwartz too, because he's joining Evernorth as well, to create the world's largest XRP institutional treasury. I'm pretty sure that they see a real demand for it if that's the next chapter. I'll catch all of you on the next one.